What's going on, creators? Yeah, I just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I'd got a couple things on the agenda to talk about. Hopefully it adds something positive to your mental diet. I know more I focus on what I put my attention on, unplugging from narratives, especially from the quote-unquote world. Just seeking more truth in my day-to-day has made such a gigantic impact of my overall well-being. Sometimes it's hard for me to even remember, unless looking through Twitter land or on YouTube or whatever, that so many people are still kind of engaged with this narrative, and not to look at like myself or yourself as being separate from culture and separate from everybody else. Realize that we're all connected, and even in that kind of like contrast, there's still a connectivity, and to start wishing people well, and to start looking at people as they're perfectly where they need to be, and not to sit there and start worrying about them, because it's easy to start to start to look at your loved ones, especially if they're like deeply unconscious, and by that I mean just almost like an automaton at this point, just regurgitating scripts that aren't making any type of logical sense, that are violently triggered. Yeah, when you just bring up logic, of like a logical hole in their assumptions, and overall letting God do what God does, and to focus on yourself, because at the end of the day, we all have to give it an account for our life, and we can't be, pointing at others of like, oh, it's this person's fault that I decided to, live a life that isn't where the potential, where it could have been, and so kind of like the flow, leaving Babylon is, something I had wrote down here as like a concept, because when you look at the world that's portrayed through a screen, and this is speaking as an American, where there's like this national identity, this national narrative, so much of that is so irrelevant to boots on the ground here in my area, that it's hard to relate anymore to a lot of the drama and a lot of the quote unquote controversies, and a lot of it just becomes more and more like mental illness. Not engaging with that is really important, not to feed that energy with your attention, and not to get tricked into constantly reacting to it. That's a big part of like the old dynamic of constantly just reacting to the world, constantly reacting to circumstances, events, and that kind of just turns you into this, I don't want to say a slave, that's always reacting, but it definitely gets you out of like the present moment and choosing instead, where fear is a reaction, love to me at least is a choice. And so it's like, whenever these things are hitting your radar, it's now when it matters. That's when the psychological war is happening. It's always happening in the present moment, and it's not tomorrow. It's happening now. It's like, oh, what's going on now? It's all spiritual, and not to sit there and be overly concerned with that, because part of this new creation that you are in Christ is realizing that God's already done it. It's like letting go of that, like, oh, I need to shake people awake, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to voice my opinion so it influences others, and whatever. It's like, not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there's almost like an anxiety related to that, where it's just like a panicky type of energy, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's like, it's okay to bring truth to people. We're supposed to be representing truth, and ultimately expressing love and form, but like there's a difference between that and like, I am freaking out that you're going to die, or I'm freaking out your some fear related to others, that their soul is in jeopardy, that they might just follow the Pied Piper over the cliff. I was at like church the other day, and someone was talking about a family member having an adverse reaction to an experimental medical procedure. And not to like make fun of that, I find that very disheartening, and I can't believe people are still putting that shit into their body. But again, I'm not going to force my will on others. Me personally, I have no way ever going to do that. And it's like once you've made that decision, it's like fuck it. Who cares? Who cares what's going on in Babylon? As far as I'm concerned, a lot of these, well, you can't come to our bars and you can't do this. It's like, I'm gonna do that anyway. It's like you have nothing to offer that I actually want. Oh, no more flying. It's like I don't like getting raped as I go through the airport. Going through like these full body scanners, getting pat down. You take my shoes off, and it just I just drive, fuck that, and it's like, and part of, it's like I used to work at the airport, not to say like there's like unsafe thing. I mean, I find like the people that worked at the airport that I worked at, everybody was very mindful about safety, as far as like people on the planes and stuff, and like being like, not to damage anything, or not to fuck around, and so, and even with not getting paid a whole lot, because like we're like subcontracted ground crew, a lot of base people that work in that industry, and have to deal with a lot of drama and bullshit from passengers that are just half drunk and freaking out themselves. But like, I mean, it's kind of just one of those ordeals, it's just like looking at these types of things as they come up constantly in the moment. It's like, did that make you feel good? That thought, that memory. So much of our thoughts are just past, and so much of our past conversation is corrupt, and like biblically, it's like it says to put off this old conversation. I feel like that's a very important thing to do, because as you start to embrace the new creature you are, the new creation, in some translations, but it's going from like this old automaton that just believed it was a separate little brain in a body that was separate, and there's all these opposing wills and forces in creation, to kind of the new, which understands that there's only God's will working in creation that supersedes everything else. And so not to sit there and see, these authoritarian, antichrist kind of spirit is possessing people in different positions and this and that. Realize that as you put your faith in God, that God will handle those people. It's not your responsibility to do anything. It's like there's really nothing that you can force down anybody's like way, that makes them go, oh, for my whole life experience, you just, miraculously just said some sort of disagreement argument. Now I'm going to completely throw everything I know out the window. I just believe you now. It's like it's got to be on some level like a spiritual, like, awakening, paradigm shift that that is real. I mean, that actually happens as you start to unravel through the extensive and this isn't a small list of just bullshit, lies, manipulations, really about everything I've learned. I can't speak for others, but I can definitely say in my own life through going to college, everything I learned along the way has fallen apart as far as the narrative is not being truthful. It's like there's so many holes in it. I can't exactly tell you what's going on, but I can tell you what it's not. Based on just the lies that are obvious, and just the holes in the narratives. And that's one of the things I find interesting. One of my customers, she's like a teacher, and like I'm gonna ask her today, because we just got done with this project, just kind of on a tangent here. I'm just really happy how this turned out. I was going to show you guys. I'm going to get it uploaded to my website and everything then too. But in the meantime, we just finished this backsplash. I don't know if you can kind of see that. Just did a bunch of work in her house. I don't know if get it. I don't know why everything's backwards and reverse. It's kind of hard to angle that correctly, but like, we just finished that up, and that's going to be like pretty much the end of that, pretty big job I've been working on with my my guy, and yeah, I'll be on to the next one. It always kind of feels weird after doing like a big amount of work at somebody's house. Yeah, I was like another customer of mine. I was at his house renovating his bathroom. I felt like I was there for like 2 weeks or something like that, maybe longer. I don't even know. I ended up I didn't make any money on that deal, and it was kind of like irresponsible, I guess, on my part. But I was still learning things. But I was like, I kind of get into these weird, things. Just like, oh, what? And this is how it went down for him. He had like helped me when I hired like those 3 guys, that was working for me. He was like kind of just giving me some work. I was giving him discounted prices just to keep these guys busy and like train them at the same time, get them used to things. And yeah, and so it was like just a series of weeks that we were just a lot of work. He just moved into this house, and even recently I went over there and hooked up his ice maker and fixed his floor, which was doing something weird. But like yeah, and it came to his bathroom. I just said something to him like, okay, what is your ideal price on this thing? Because I don't really know. It's like what would be a blessing, as far as just like, oh, that'd be awesome, we can get this done for that. And we did, and it was like, okay, let's just do it, whatever. And like yeah, so I ended up being able to pay my guys, but I didn't. And I think I ended up losing a little bit of money on that, but like, shit happens. But like yeah, I was like telling him like, man, it's gonna feel so weird. And it's like I feel like I'm just like living in your house. I'm here like 40 hours a week, just hanging out and talking. And he's like retired, and it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself now that I'm going to be gone. I feel like I'm just like switching jobs or getting fired or something. That kind of weird limbo. But like, kind of feel the same way with this job. It's just like, yeah, we painted like her entire inside of her house, replaced a bunch of doors, big checklist things, power wash the house, the outside, fix some screens, fix some, just list of things to do, and it kind of feels the same way. It's just like, I don't know, it's gonna feel weird not having that job, which it gets me to like some of the people that with these mandates and everything. I wish I could share like just the faith I have that that you can go and do things, and like the things will be provided to you as you start going for things. I even can like look back at like my music progression, music publishing, getting different licensing deals, getting different placements, getting more, and then that's still going on. It's not like those deals went away. It's just, I just been moving more towards like the handyman type stuff, mainly because I've been doing like guitar tracks and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I just have been two sheets to the wind on things. I have no real game plan. I just take action for the day, whatever's going on. Normally, what happens is like, I haven't really gotten any phone calls, this entire time, doing this bunch of work for this lady, and it's wild because it's like as soon as like these things start getting done, then it's like, boom, 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 next kind of jobs get lined up, and then go do them. But it's just like same thing with like the handyman or the music stuff. It's just different things come together, people, emails, and you never know who you're talking to, and like or being exposed to, on some level, and it's wild, watching these things come together, especially when you follow like the signs, the synchronicities, which is what I was doing when I first started doing like the handyman jobs. Was like I'd notice that like on the addresses, I'd see like Bible verses in people's houses, and I'd just see these little like spiritual winks of like, oh, nothing to worry about, because having a business, a lot of it can be very stressful if you're in the wrong state of mind, which is what I was like in with most of the I don't know, 6 years. I've been doing the music thing like 10 years, but like I've been doing the handyman stuff I think 4 or 5. I don't know, I'd have to look at my LinkedIn, but like yeah, I was like super stressed out the whole time doing music, because it was just like you never know what's coming in, and family, raising a family on top of that, and just having a bunch of responsibilities and obligations and shit to pay for. It's just like constant scarcity mindset and what if and worst case scenarios, and it was just miserable. It was constantly physically like through force, doing things. And there'd be like, oh yeah, it fell through, thank God, and then immediately followed by freak out more, and just constant stress and anxiety, and like with this handyman thing and everything as of now, it's just a totally different flow. So don't even worry about those things. It's just, whatever, the phone rings, just go do it, type vibe. And like seeing how, it just works over and over and over again. It's just, hopefully can share that with others that are like feeling maybe hopeless of like, oh shit, oh, what am I going to do without, my job I hate anyway. I can't believe people are actually willing to put up with that. It's like from an employer. As somebody, is like has an employee, it's like it seems so fucking psychotic to me to be like, hey, if you don't take this experimental injection, you're fired. Psycho. I mean, it's just so crazy, and it's like, I can't believe people are like, yeah, my employer brought that to me. It's like, and you're still there when they're like around here, when people like around here say that, and then it's like, and you're still there considering every place in town is literally hiring. There's like, you can walk into any place and get a job like that, and you're sitting there going to put up with that nonsense from that boss. So like my sympathy towards, I kind of in a weird spot with that, like relating to people, but like, trying to, at least put out like an energy of like, you don't have to continue to do that though. I mean, just because it feels safe and secure does not mean that it is, it's just your belief in that, a lot of times is being, pushed out. But, there's, a time to get out of Babylon, and there's a time to, and this is the time to get out, because it's obviously self-destructing, and it taking as many people with that sinking ship as possible. Ultimately, I feel like that's an illusion, but, it's what's being portrayed, at least, is stuff that you can see if you, like, kind of dip into that old world, but I actually, like, try to limit that kind of exposure. Sometimes I dip back into it just to see, on some level, just to be able to talk to people, because it's like very difficult, I guess. Maybe it's not, but like it's easy to have like, short little 2-minute conversations, like, how you doing, what's going on, how you been, what are you up to, that kind of stuff. But it's another to actually have like deep conversation, which I haven't had a deep conversation with somebody in my actual life, since like high school, smoking weed around fire pits. It's just like, or campfires, but like, yeah, it feels like everything has just now become just a superficial dealing with automaton people, and that's partly my own drama, being projected, not to sit there and like, I feel like, part of like the hope moving forward is to see, more and more people just like snapping out of this, this blind obedience and trust thing, to people that have no business having your trust. It's like you these dead entities. It's weird. It's like, oh, they've only been lying for 20 years, but that this time they're not. How does that make sense to think that? Does that, and maybe everybody's got to go through that period of like seeing what it really is, before they get it. It was like when I went to jail, it's like, you have like this impression, like from like the outside of like people will be mad at you, like maybe from like childhood, you just like feel like you're being punished, and like you're like used to your parents punishing you and then being mad at you at the same time for, doing whatever you did, but like you get to like court and like dealing with these people that it's like it's just their job to kind of shuffle you through the system. It's like that nobody cares. The guards don't care. Nobody cares. The attorneys don't care. It's just so matter of fact. And then it's just like you're sitting in a big room, and it's like, so this is it. And most of the time, like when I was in jail, it's like the guards would come in, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the rest of the time, there's nobody there, besides inmates. There's nobody watching anything, it's, maybe over the cameras or something, but, it's just like you're sitting in a room full of people. And it's just like, and nobody's mad at you. maybe, depend. No one was mad at me when I went to jail, but I didn't have a fucked up charge, like some people that get those fucked up charges, they have a very hard time though, and like, Let me get back to my train of thought here. Kind of get on here just to kind of ramble a bit. It's 11/11. The date today, even though it's now, is still kind of an interesting. With the number synchronicity, I see that number a lot. I don't really know what to make of it, other than it's just, up for interpretation, which is just like another, kind of like little marker, I guess, to me. It's just like, oh, there's, stop drifting into this old idea that God's not real, or it's like, oh, that there's actually, something going on that's not part of God's plan. Just really getting more and more involved in just trusting what comes, um, to me, I guess, or you, just whatever, it's kind of talking to myself, but talking to you at the same time, because, we're all kind of going through the same things, but it's just like, trusting that whatever comes, in the present moment, to realize, there's an inner guidance system there, and there's always a new time to say a new story, to choose differently, instead of just repeating the same drama and the same beliefs over and over again. And I've noticed like even like a lot of these addictive loops, it's like you do them over and over again to a point where it's just like, this isn't doing anything for me anymore. It's like, why am I even doing this? It's just something I'm just doing, and choosing to just like explore different things, looking at life differently, picking up different hobbies and everything. Yeah, I think that's important in growing. I think growing in general is important. I end up, looking around, just constantly kind of looking at my life situations as, this is what I can steward. It's just like, yeah, it's good to have ambitions and want to grow and evolve. Yeah, that's normal and natural. But like, not, getting in this kind of funk of like, well, if, I'm going to despise the present moment, because I have like, I want to live in an 18 bedroom yacht or something. It's just like that. Then I'll be happy. It's just like, trying to focus more on just right now, is enjoying what I got. Looking at it like, anything can be stewarded, grown on. But it's like, if I can't be happy, be at peace now, there's more shit and obligations to do is not doing to do it. But like, so it's helpful to kind of focus attention on, I would say, community, local community, building community. That's one of the, I'd say, reasons I started, going to this new church, partly because my wife wanted to. And then so it's like, okay, yeah, let's do it, and just to support her and wanting to do that. Then I noticed like on the address of the church, it was like 1515, which is like a kind of a repeating number series for me, the same numbers. It wasn't enough to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to draw some significance from this, but it's just, to me, it's just another one of them like signs of like, you should do this. And then kind of mix with that inner kind of feel goodness, about like, oh, this seems like a good idea. You can kind of tell, if it's causing fear, that's one thing. But if it feels good, if it's resonating with your inner self, then I'd go for it. Why not? But like, yeah, and so I feel like I'm kind of like getting on here a little rambly. I gotta kind of got rained out the rest of the day here. I gotta meet that lady at like an hour or two at the house. Kind of do one final walkthrough, make sure she's happy with everything. Tomorrow's gonna be kind of a fluff day. I was gonna do some outdoor work today, but then it started raining, and so I figured get on here and kind of just, put out some energy. Hopefully, hopefully it's helpful for you, and it helps you on your state of being for today. I think that's about it, though. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting. All the social networking things, and thank you for your spiritual support and your financial support. I appreciate it. And until the next now, God bless.